I've always worked in manufacturing, which has always been a blue collar workforce. And I've always known that, your employees are the number one asset that you can have. And so recruiting and retention are key. So I came into it knowing that that's a thing. And so when I saw the plan that they have laid out for recruiting, I've always known about HR because I've known it's there, and you go tell someone to hire and people show up. And so now it's my responsibility to do that. And they have this system that walks you through from A to Z. How do you get craftsmen to find you? How do you get them in the door? How do you get them trained? All of it is laid out for you. So you're kind of following the plan again, which is very successful. I always have candidates in my pipeline. And so now it's up to me to figure out what works really well for an employee and what doesn't, and really target those employees. When, as a franchise, we were having trouble getting recruits in the door, they came up with a creative recruiting process where we actually have somebody who's helping us with recruiting. And that was a game changer for me. Really being able to open up that headspace, knowing that there's like somebody there in my corner whose job it is to get people in to talk to me, was really helpful. And then when I need people, it's me being creative. I mean, I like to work with people. And so, think outside of the box. Go to a networking group and talk to roofers and plumbers and other construction people and find out where they get their people from. Or, my secret tip, I hate to give this one away, I go to Home Advisor, and there's a way to go in and see reviews for handymen. And so I'll go into my area and I'll look for the reviews for handymen, and I'll start reading them. And then I look at their profile and I can tell if they're really serious about it or this is like a hobby business for them. And I'll just proactively call them on the phone and say, hey, I saw your ad on Home Advisor and I run this business and we're looking for some new guys. And once they come in and they see what we offer for them, they give us a shot. I think that we have more people who want to work for us than are actually a good fit for us. But what you have to do is know going in that you're going to, this job is about people. And so every single week, you're going to be recruiting craftsmen, you're going to be recruiting referrals, you're going to be recruiting customers, and you're going to be dealing with people. So as long as you're open to dealing with people and have a really good kind of gut instinct about people, you're not going to have a problem. But as a business owner, it's always something that's on your radar. You have to think about it. I need good people. I need good employees. I need to take care of my customers. And so that headspace is never going to go away. You always need to focus on your employees.
I actually have a few craftsmen who used to have their own businesses, and they like doing work, but they don't really like running the business. And with us, it's almost like running your own business, but having the backing of the company. So they don't need to buy their own general liability insurance, workers' comp. We cover them. Also, we provide them the customers. So they go, they talk to the customers, which they do like, but they don't need to deal with any paperwork that we do for them. That's something that I work on every day. Because there are a lot of craftsmen, but not all craftsmen are suitable for this kind of business. And I go interview them, I collect the applications from them, I talk to quite a few, I hire quite a few. There are two different types of satisfaction working with craftsmen. One, of course, is to help them make the living, but the other one is I really enjoy working with them. And I learned a lot from them. I don't have a construction background. And now most people, when they talk to me, even craftsmen who come in for an interview, they don't realize it.
I have a really good relationship with corporate, and I think they do a phenomenal job in all respects of support and, in terms of coaching on how to do interviews and what to say and how to answer the questions and where to go to find these guys. At the end of the day, it's about taking ownership over it. So, you can make complaints about any business, but if you aren't willing to try and commit yourself to building relationships, it doesn't matter what business you're in. It's still going to be hard to maintain good flooring guys if you're going to go in the flooring business. It's still going to be hard to maintain good painters and find good painters. You can find them, but if you aren't willing to invest the time to build the relationships, it doesn't matter how much support you're going to get. So if I was going to give anybody advice, I would say, look, put everything on yourself and don't expect anything from corporate, and then you'll be pleasantly surprised, right? But it really is about committing to that sort of relationship building and making it a priority. Finding craftsmen in the Handyman Connection business or in the construction industry in general, I think is by far the hardest thing. But like anything, if you can commit yourself to it, you can find them and they're out there. I think the most important thing for new owners to understand is you can run the tactics and do the interviews if you aren't focused on the person and you aren't focused on building the relationship. And sometimes, I mean, I have stories of guys that I've hired that I was fishing them for months. I mean, just shooting them a text. Hey, just a reminder, you know, I met a guy at Home Depot 3 months ago, and he's doing his first job for us next week. I mean, you just have to constantly be looking for these people, and they're not, you know, you'll get applicants by going online and fishing those, but they're not interested in a job. A lot of these people aren't interested in a job. They want a relationship, and you know, they ran their own business at one point, or they like the flexibility, they like the freedom, so they're not looking for a 9-to-5. It may turn into that because they like hanging out with you so much and it doesn't feel like a job, and it's exhausting, especially if you're not, like, you know, extroverted. If you're an introvert like I am, it can be exhausting. But you have to have your eyes open constantly. So follow the tactics, use the coaching, and trust the process that Handyman Connection gives you. But you got to be in the grocery store going, that guy has paint on his pants. Like, what do you do? You know, you have to be just vicious with it. You have to be ambitious. You have to breathe it.
It's one of the most important parts of our business, obviously, is the craftsmen that are going to deliver the service and take care of the customer. And the job market is tight, so there is that challenge. That said, when you go and you recruit and you look for craftsmen to fit into our model, there's so many advantages that you can present to that craftsman that you can deliver on for them that they're just not going to get if they're doing it on their own. And once they understand that value and you take care of them, they love it, and you got them. The thing that was most impressive to me when I looked at buying the franchise or buying the business were really two key things. The repeat customer base, very strong repeat customer base, and that creates value. And our roster of craftsmen, a number of them had been with the business 10 plus years. And the reason why they had been with Handyman Connection for those number of years was the culture that the business had created, and then the fact that they could go to work to do what they love, their craft. They didn't have to worry about running down leads and scheduling appointments. We took care of all that. And then lastly, we call it our business family. So you're part of a group.
They teach us a lot about coaching the craftsmen on how to be successful, and we track all their numbers too.
And I think that the biggest takeaway for me is that you do not have to have a working relationship with every single person that tries to come and work for the company. Sometimes it just doesn't fit. And you have to just let it go and try to find that craftsman that is going to fit into the model, into the brand experience, and that is willing to provide that to your customers, because ultimately that's our goal, is to have these craftsmen that enjoy what they do, but also provide the handyman experience to our customers.
I work on craftsman retention daily, talking to my employees in the field and coaching them and making sure that they have everything they need so that we can get their job done efficiently and they can make money as well as us. We have a website called Career Plug that helps bring people into the door, and then from there they have aspects once they're on staff to try to keep and retain them.
And what's one of the things that Handyman Connection does provide, the corporate folks do provide, is a really solid recruiting platform that allows you to bring new craftsmen in, because there's constantly, you have to be not cycling through, but bringing in new people into your business, especially as you grow. It's one thing to have a solid group of people, but as you go from next level to next level, you need to constantly recruit more people, and they do provide you the platform to make that work. And what I tell these guys is when they come in is that you are making a difference in people's lives. You are building things for them. You're in their homes, you're in the most private space they have, and they let you in. And the fact that many of our owners leave a door open or leave a key for our guys and say, go on in and finish the work, it's a huge testament to the trust they put in us as a business. So we are servicing a real need in the marketplace and helping people take care of their homes, and that's a great endorsement.
Recruiting craftsmen can be a challenge, but it is something that we focus on daily and monthly and annually to make sure that we're sort of constantly recruiting. There's a lot of amazing guys out there, and sometimes you just need to find that diamond in the rough. So whether you're recruiting 20 and you pull one out of there, that one good guy is going to really bring you some great revenue and build relationships with him and keep him busy for years. I think a lot of the times we see ourselves as a business that's helping homeowners, but I also see us as helping craftsmen. It's such an important business for them. It's somewhere they can rely on steady work, they can rely on steady income. They know that the local franchisee has their back, and that's very important to these guys, that they have somewhere safe and secure to work and just always have that constant workload coming in. I think we do a lot of recruitment advertising, but I think when they're searching for something good and they need to make a change, they know where to find us because we have been there for 23 years. I think our longest craftsman has probably been with us for 17 years. 16 years, 17 years. So yeah, we've really developed a great relationship. You know, they've become a part of our family. Much like a craftsman walk away from his job, being satisfied with the work that he's completed in somebody's home, you know, we are fully supporting him in that, and I think we have the same sense of accomplishment, making sure that he's happy with the workmanship he's completed, we're happy with his workmanship, and then the homeowner continues to call us again and again for more work.
Even when I was looking into it, craftsman was always a big concern with me. But once we actually get the ball rolling, and again, this is the tools that the franchise gives us, I get an ample amount of craftsmen applying every single day. I thought that my area, it was going to be really hard pressed to get craftsmen. And once we flipped the switch for our marketing tools, craftsmen just kind of came to us. I get phone calls, usually on a weekly basis, from a new potential craftsman. Craftsmen, especially a lot of the ones I deal with, they are in it for themselves, or they're somebody that's trying to come from a big commercial firm and they're not used to having that ability just to be able to do work on their own and not have somebody hover over them 100%. I'm not saying that I don't watch the guys, but they have that freedom to be able to go out and do the work. And when they see how my other craftsmen do work, and when they talk to them, especially when we do our monthly meetings and weekly meetings, they get to understand that, yeah, I mean, working with Handyman Connection, you have the freedom and availability to be able to control your work schedule. And that's one big thing that craftsmen like, is they have that freedom and availability to control their schedule, as well as still get paid a good amount. One of the questions we had before purchasing the franchise was a craftsman question, is how easy do craftsmen come? Are they reliable? And every single franchise owner I talked to told me, yes, you will find the good guys, you will find the guys that are kind of mediocre, but you will always be able to find a good team to build your office around. That was our biggest concern because, I mean, Wichita, it's not the largest city. And it's heavily driven by aircraft, so I was always concerned about that. But the moment that I started interviewing and getting resumes in, I realized that there was a lot more craftsmen out there than I ever knew about. I mean, there's teachers that do it part-time. There's aircraft mechanics that do it part-time. There's firefighters that do it part-time. So a ton of people have experience. And that was always our biggest concern, because if I didn't have craftsmen, how could I make this work?
Handyman Connection as a whole, I think we've all the franchisees owner, the biggest obstacle that any type of industry has is just finding people, whether it's a craftsman, whether it's a cook, whether it's anything. I think we all struggle to try to identify that right person. So we're not in any different type of situation. It's just that ours isn't a craftsman thing. So we did recognize that's always been a challenge. I don't want to call it a struggle, but it's really a challenge, because anytime you need to hire people, it's a challenge, So you need to identify their skills, you need to identify their personality, and then is this a person that's going to fit the model and develop the brand experience that we're looking at that. So the one thing that I was excited about is that this past year they actually did a little bit more focuses on the Craftsmen Recruiting to help us instead of doing a lot of this small leg work in front of it. I did see that the home office developed where they do a lot of that leg work in front of it, review their applications, they review their status and see if they, if they meet the qualifications criteria that we at least need. And then if they do that, then they can pass it on to the owners to say, hey, we got a guy that applied locally, he meets all the qualifications, you want to go ahead and interview him and everything else. So that's actually cut down some of that extra work that we had to do at the office.